we got the 2021 Yamaha YZ125 here. I want to do a dirt bike review. You should buy a YZ125. I think riders moving up from 85 or a 102 stroke should definitely get a YZ125. Anybody from a beginner all the way up to a pro rider who's just wanting to have fun on a bike. The most affordable full-size dirt bike. Parts availability, parts cost, when you compare them to, you know, some of the KTM models or Italian brands, just the availability of parts and the cost of the parts, the simplicity of the two-stroke motor, how easy it is to work on, the reliability of the motor, you know, it's still competitive, it's fun to ride. This kid Loretta wins on a YZ125. He was racing against 250Fs in the 250B class, I believe, and he was racing against 250Fs and 252 strokes. He was the only YZ120. He was the only 125 in the class, and he still won. So it shows they're still competitive. We all saw what Ryan Villapillo can do on these bikes. There's so much R&D put into this bike over the years to get to this point. It's considered pretty much a legendary dirt bike. It's probably sold more Yamaha YZ125s than any other model in the history of dirt bikes. The YZ125 and 252 stroke have been around for almost longer than any other models. Just the suspension alone on these bikes, you know, is amazing. Like, that is such a key component. Small bore motor with, you know, great suspension and a really easy to ride motor. Power band is just it's easier to ride than some of the KTM models. There's no air forks, so you don't have to screw around with an extra pump. It's just one less thing to do, and it also just works better. You're gonna be riding this bike, if you're not familiar with it, it can take a little bit of getting used to, especially if you're coming off 4-stroke. Might take you even a little bit longer. The YZ125 teaches you how to hone in on using the clutch, shifting, putting the bike in the power band, and once you learn proper body positioning and how to carry your momentum, it's one of the best things that this bike can teach you. So this bike's pretty much ready to go right from the showroom. The only thing that you'll need is a spark arrestor if you plan to ride on trails, public land, front fender. They should have put them on this bike to begin with. They were already out on the 4-stroke models. They were just waiting to release it on the 2022 model. I just snagged that and I just bolted right up. And then same thing with the front number plate. Just kind of give it that little bit of a newer look. Again, not at all necessary, but just kind of extra 20 bucks or whatever. Most of the upgraded parts are not really necessary. I had the Pro Circuit exhaust already from my 2010 model, so it's nice that it just bolted right up to the new bike. It's one thing that's nice about having them be the same. So I got the Electron right away just to extend the life of the motor and hopefully get me better MPG over the course of ownership. Again, it's not really 100% necessary. So I definitely recommend the Pro Circuit exhaust to anybody who wants like a little bit extra pep right off the throttle. Just gives it like a little more spunk, but it's not really necessary. But I do recommend it if you're somebody who's looking for that. It's definitely what you want. So I got the Ebc Oversized Rotor Kit, and I already had this on my 2010 model, and it was more of an upgrade for that bike because that 2010 model came stock with a smaller rotor to begin with. This one came with 270 stock, but it is still nice to have that 280, 10 extra millimeters, and then the Lightspeed guard that went with it. That was an eBay special. The same thing with the chain guide, kind of just not really necessary, but had it laying around. And for the 2021, the 280 is not really necessary, but it is nice to have. Especially if you have one of the older models, then definitely upgrade. Brake rotor, just depends on what type of rider you are, but I like to have it. And then the fuel petcock here off the YZ125 X model. So this wasn't really necessary, but just peace of mind, knowing that I'm not gonna run out of fuel, end up having too much fun, forget to fill up, top off the tank, and then I'm pushing my bike back. You can always lean your bike over to the left side and try to get some of that fuel that's in this right side hanging on the side over there as an emergency, but it's just nice to have the reserve option on there. And then the Pro Series reeds, again, since the bike was brand new, it's not really necessary. The carbon reeds that the bike comes with are good, but I utilized the stock cage and got the Pro Series reeds that go in there from Boysen, and so that's a good cost-effective upgrade. Just give you a little bit more stronger pulling power, and you get that dual stage reed flap. That's just a nice little upgrade. So in the past, on my 2010, I had a 50 tooth and I had good luck with it. So straight away, right when I got the 2021, I got the 50 tooth, and it's pretty much not necessary, but it gives you a little bit more torque in each gear. It just gives you a little bit more pull. You have to kind of shift through the gears a little quicker. You don't have as much top speed, but for me, just kind of my style and where I usually ride, it's kind of just a comfort thing for me, preference. So I had these Works Connection radiator braces laying around, and I've used these on a few different bikes. They were on the 250 two-stroke, and they work on the steel frame model. They work on a bunch of different two-stroke gears, pretty much the same bike. So those for me are a kind of another comfort feature, just ease of mind, just so that if you were to fall over, you're not going to break those radiators. It just going to give you a little bit more strength to them. I mean, they could still break. As you can see, I've got custom number plates cut that I chopped down. That was kind of one of the first things I did as well. In the past on my 2010 model, I did that, and it's just a preference thing. And put some air vent holes in here. Again, not at all necessary, but just kind of one of those little customization things. So we got Acerbis frame guards here, and these are a nice little upgrade. I like that they're the same color as the frame, with just a little black here. So this is actually like plastic, and then it's just the same color as the frame, and it's notched out right here, and it just helps you give it a little grip. So I got the Rekluse clutch cover. This was the eBay special, and I don't have any Rekluse clutch parts inside of it, but it actually allows you to hold a little bit more oil in the motor, so it's because it comes out a little bit more. So I think it holds around 90 cc's more. I just kept checking the drain bolt or the oil check bolt to see where that was at. See, we got the brake snake here. It's not really necessary, but it's just kind of another peace of mind thing so that you don't break an expensive brake lever. And then a brake pedal, and then the skid plate. Again, this was off my other bike that I made before, my 2010, and since then I've upgraded. I added this piece of, what is it, Kydex? It's like they use it for making custom gun holsters. You like heat it up and then you can melt it and bend it around a little bit, and so that's pop riveted onto the plastic skid plate, and then there's a bolt, or a bolt here with a nut, so that I can remove the brake snake without having to cut it if I need to get into the clutch or whatever. Yeah, basically this bike's ready to go right when you get it. After having good success on the 300 with the Electron, I just pretty much knew that I wanted to get it right away, and instead of always thinking that I wanted to get it and holding off, I figured that I pretty much knew I wanted to get the Electron, just because it's that much easier when we go right up in the mountains and stuff. When we change elevation, I don't have to mess around with the carb, and if there's a lot of days where it's like hot or it's cold, and then just the weather changing, it's not really necessary on the 125. The YZ comes really good, but I just kind of like had this little niche for Electron, and I just enjoyed their product, and I'm hoping that it gives me more life to the engine, so that's kind of just why I sprung for it. And then definitely an hour meter. I've only got 2.37 hours. It's just a Tusk hour meter. The Works Connection one is nice, but they've gotten a little bit ridiculous on the price for an hour meter. Something that it should come with from the factory, but it doesn't, unfortunately. If all you can afford is the Tusk one or a cheap one, I definitely recommend getting something, because it's important to know how many hours you got in between oil changes, and it just gives you an idea of when you might need to get in there and change your piston, and you know how many hours you got on your bearings, how many hours you got on brake pads, how many hours you got on new parts, how many hours a tire lasts, how long a chain lasts, how long, you know, you get the idea. So it's kind of a critical thing. And then you might have noticed I added like this clear plastic sheet over some of the pieces here, over the graphic, this top back piece here. And then it's just to kind of prevent scratching when you're swinging your leg over the, you're always swinging your leg over, you end up getting that all scratched out. It's kind of just overkill. And then I just like the Pro Taper setup, so I went with that instead, but again, not really necessary. Bike doesn't come with Pro Tapers, but it's kind of just a cool little upgrade. And then I went with the carbon sticker. It's for my registration sticker, so you can just pull that off. Again, that's not necessary. The last thing that I wanted to do, so one of the last upgrades I'll probably put on for now is these Motion Pro micro bleeders, and it replaces the little screw, air bleeder screw right there. So what happens is, like, once you're riding and the fork, you know, it's going up and down, it creates friction, and there's heat buildup and static. You get static heat buildup, and then you ultimately get air pressure in there, and it's good to relieve that pressure during the course of your ride throughout the day. So you pop the bike onto the stand, or you could just kind of like pull up on the handlebars like this and just reach down and push the button. Just want to like extend the fork all the way before you press the button. But yeah, I didn't mean to put these on. For a while I was really excited about the new KTM, what is it, 125 XC. It's pretty much like the little brother of the 300 two-strokes. It has electric start. It's kind of like that hybrid trail cross-country bike. Still has the air forks, but what I was really in love with was that it came with the 18-inch rear tire, came with the electric start, which is like the only 125 that has an electric start as of like recently. And I'm really happy that I didn't get that bike and that I just got the YZ125, because after having a couple Huskies with batteries, it's just an extra thing. It's like another $100 plus part, depending on what battery you get, and they don't last forever, and it's unnecessary, especially on a 125. I definitely like having it on the bigger bore bikes, but on a 125, I mean, there are definitely situations where it would be nice to have, like sticky situations, but it's not hard to start with your leg, you know? I mean, I guess for a safety thing or something like that, it's nice, but in the scheme of things, you know, it's really not that necessary, and it ends up becoming an extra thing to worry about, having the battery. So good old-fashioned is great. Same thing with the forks, good old-fashioned. No air fork, anything weird like that. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Can't wait to get out there. Red sticker season's almost over. Or rather, green sticker season's almost over, so we can ride the red stickers. And yeah, so October 1st is the beginning. So October 1st we'll be starting to get as soon as we can in October. See if we can get out there, depending on my schedule. Try to get out there, and we'll get some more hours on this bad boy.